Hello, we're going to start Chapter 10, Lesson 1 for fractions. Let's begin by watching our video, just like we do in class. Also, if you haven't got it, you want to stop here and get a sheet of paper because you are going to need a sheet of paper and a pencil for math class. So once you do that, come back and start the video and we'll begin.
A day at my school. There are plenty of opportunities to use fractions to help us solve problems. Let's say it's lunchtime, and you packed a sub sandwich from home. You decide to share it equally with your two friends. How much of the sandwich will each person receive so that everyone gets an equal share? In order for each person to receive an equal share, divide the sub into 3 equal parts or thirds. If you divide the sandwich into 3 parts, then you and your two friends will each receive 1/3 of the submarine sandwich. See, using fractions to solve problems around your school is fun and easy. How do you use fractions to solve problems?
So did you know that whenever you are sharing in the lunchroom and you're sharing equally, where each person gets an equal part, you're actually working with fractions. So this is Chapter 10, Lesson 1, Unit Fractions. Our essential question today, how can fractions be used to represent numbers and their parts? So think of the number and think about how with fractions we're breaking it into parts. Let's go back one. Now, while we explore, here's our question. How can you show equal parts? Complete the table to show the number of equal parts and the unit fraction. Remember, unit fraction is only one part of the whole. So let's look at this square. How many pieces have they divided the square into? That's right, 2. So the unit fraction, what part of it is colored purple? One of the 2 parts, and that is called a half. How many parts is the rectangle divided into? 3 equal parts. And that would be written as, the unit fraction for that would be 1 of the 3, which is 1/3. And then we have a circle that almost looks like a pie, and it is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. And the part that is colored purple is 1 of the 6, and we say that is 1/6. Then we have a square divided into 4 parts, and the part that is green is 1/4. That is the unit fraction. It is 1 of 4, 1/4. And there you see it on the table. A unit fraction is 1 part of the whole. So 1/2 is the unit fraction for this one. 1/3 is the unit fraction for this rectangle. 1/6 is the unit fraction for this circle. And then 1/4 is the unit fraction for the square divided into 4 parts. Now, Maggie ordered a whole pizza. She cut the pizza in half. Then she cuts those slices in half. Finally, she cuts all the slices in half once more. How many slices are there in all? What unit fraction represents each part? So we know with story problems, we have to break it down and look at our steps. So the first thing we're going to do is have our pizza. So we're going to draw one, which you can do on your paper. And it says she cuts that pizza in half. So let's cut it in half. Then it says she cuts those slices in half. So let's cut those slices in half. And then it says she cuts all the slices in half once more. So let's cut all these slices in half one more time. So I could do that way, and I can do this way, almost like making an X. And I've divided them. How many parts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did you get 8? And one unit fraction would be, one of these pieces would be 1 of 8. And that's called 1/8. Say 1/8. Good job. Now, Danny's sharing his sandwich with Steph, and they used this blue bar to represent that. He broke it into 2 equal pieces. What fraction of the sandwich did each receive? So you can see it's broken into 2 pieces. What fraction did you place? Place 2 equal size fraction tiles. So since we don't have the tiles, we'll just look at our picture here, and we can see that one of these is a half. So over here in our box, we'll write 1/2, and on your paper, you can write 1/2. So the person received 1/2 of the whole sandwich. He received half, and Steph received half. A unit fraction represents 1 equal part of the whole. The top number of a unit fraction is 1. So just like I told you in the introduction, the top number is the numerator. For a unit fraction, that number is 1. The bottom number is how many pieces the whole has been cut into. So this whole sandwich was cut into 2 pieces. So the unit fraction is 1/2. Let's look at that. Let's explore it further. One whole is divided into 4 parts now. What unit fraction represents 1 equal part of the whole? So, what unit fraction represents just 1 part? Remember, the top number is always a 1, and the bottom, the whole was partitioned into 4 equal parts. So the bottom number, or the denominator, will be 4. So the unit fraction is 1/4. And that's how you spell that in words, 1/4. Ian made a loaf of bread as his final project in health class. He divided the loaf equally among some students. Each student received 1/8 of the loaf. How many equal parts did Ian cut the loaf? So let's draw our loaf of bread. Do that now on your paper. And we'll just draw, you can just draw a rectangle, it's fine. Now, see if you can divide that into 8 equal parts. So we can divide it into half, divide that into fourths, and then if we split the fourths again, we have eighths. So let's look. One eighth. There were 8 equal parts. So Ian cut the loaf into 8 parts. That's where that one, the bottom number came from, 8. That means how many parts it was cut into. So he cut the bread into 8 equal parts. Each student received 1/8. Now, divide the whole into equal parts and then label each part. So on your paper, if you will draw the 3 rectangles, then you can work it along with me. So you can pause the video if you need to while you draw, and then come back. So now we have the first rectangle, and we're going to divide it into equal parts. So I'm finding a place in the middle, and I'm going to divide it into equal parts. Those equal parts, each part is called 1/2, and that is called a half. 1 of the 2. So that's 1/2 and 1/2. Now let's divide the second one into 4 equal parts. Remember how we did that? Divide it in half and then divide the half in half. So now we have 4 equal parts. And that's called 1/4. And that is our fractional part. That's our unit fraction. Now we're going to divide it into 8, just like we did with the ends bread. Cut it in half, cut it in 4s, and then divide the 4s, and that will give you 8. And then we see 8 equal parts, the unit fraction is 1/8. 4 equal parts, the unit fraction is 1/4. And 2 equal parts, the unit fraction is 1/2. So unit fraction is one part of the whole. What is a unit fraction? Repeat that back to me. A unit fraction is one part of the whole. Divide the whole into equal parts, then label each part with its unit fraction. Divide the rectangle into 3 equal parts and write the fraction below it. Divide the number 5 into 6 equal parts and write the fraction. I'm going to do this one along with you. It's a little tricky because you can't draw the lines in the middle when we're doing thirds. Do you know why? Because 3 is an odd number, so we're not going to start in the middle. We're going to start off to the side so we can make equal parts. And then with 6, we're going to make thirds again. And then if we divide those, we should get 6. So one part, one unit fraction should be 1 of the 3, and that's 1/3. And 1 of the 6, that unit fraction should be 1/6. 3 equal parts, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. 6 equal parts, you have 6 pieces, and your unit fraction is 1/6. Now, you try it on your own. How many equal parts is the rectangle divided into? And then write the unit fraction. How many equal parts is the square divided into? And what is the unit fraction? Do that now. You may want to stop the video to give you a little more time, and then we'll check your answers. Did you put 4 equal parts? And then the unit fraction is 1 of the 4, 1/4. Number 7, there are 2 equal parts. The unit fraction is 1 of the 2, or 1/2. Draw these. You want to draw a circle and you want to draw a rectangle. Divide them into, or you could just look off the screen. How many equal parts is this divided into? And then what is the unit fraction for this, for number 8? How many parts is 9 divided into? How many parts? And what is the unit fraction for just one part of the whole? Again, stop the video if you need to, so you have time to work your answers, and then we'll go on and check. 3 equal parts, and just one of those, the unit fraction is 1/3. 3 equal parts again. Notice how the 3 is a different shape, but it's still 3 equal parts. And that unit fraction is 1/3. Now, circle the correct unit fraction for the shaded section on each model. Let's do the first one together. Here's a square divided into 4 parts. So we know the bottom number or denominator tells how many parts. So how many parts is it divided into? 4. And the blue represents 1 of the 4. So you should circle 1/4, or on your paper write 1/4. And you can also draw that if you'd like, and then draw this one and put your answer, and draw this one and put your answer. You would stop the video to do that. Number 11, how many pieces is this divided into? 8. So the unit fraction is 1/8. 12, if you worked these, you should have marked 1/6 because it's 6 pieces, and the blue is only 1, so the unit fraction is 1/6. There you go. Check your answers again. 13, 14, 15, do those on your own. You can look at the screen, choose your answer, write your answer on your paper, and then we'll check to see if you're right. Remember, unit fraction is one part of the whole. Again, if you needed extended time, you can pause the video and come back. Just pause and then unpause when you're ready. Okay, we see that the green represents 1/2. 14, you have 3 parts. The blue represents 1/3. 5, you see you have 6 parts, and the green represents 1 of 6, 1/6. Remember, the bottom number is how many pieces it's cut into. 3, 6, 6. The unit fraction is 1, so the top number will always be 1 if you're writing the unit fraction. Max folded a piece of paper in half, and then he folded it one more time. So pick up the paper you're working with, fold it in half, like a hamburger fold, then fold it again and open that. How many equal sized parts did he have when he opened the paper? How many did you get? Can you write the unit fraction that represents each part? Do that now. 4 parts, and that unit fraction would be 1 of 4, or 1/4. Good job. You did very well today. Practice working with fractions around your home. Ask your parents if they can show you some fractions in the kitchen. And we'll come back for lesson 2. Thank you for watching. Remember, practice fractions at home.